feels like the English in 2003, but they weren't able to go back-to-back. It is South Africa once again.
Congratulations to England as well on a very impressive World Cup again. We said they fought themselves out of a difficult position. Congratulations too to all those South African supporters back in Australia. There's to 100,000 South Africans, I believe, in Australia. Many English as well. Both should be very proud of their sides. But South Africa, in the end, they held everything together, and that's what you need to do in a World Cup final. It's not whether you play well, it's whether you keep your structure well enough.
Looks like Brian Ashton, English circle. He used a quote from Winston Churchill, "Never have so few shocked so many." And England certainly have shocked many sides to here.
Look, I think, to be really honest,
John,
the English
overachieved. You're the 2007 World Champions. How does it feel?
Try not to cry, but it's amazing. I wonder if 4 years of 50 people's lives can fit into that little cup, but it has been worth every single second. And we had 45 odd million South Africans, and I think the rest of the world shouting for us tonight. And it was a colossal game, but to be able to win a World Cup, I think I'll only realise it in a couple of days' time.
They gave you a good run for your money, though, didn't they, the English tonight?
Well, they're a completely different side, and tonight it really was anyone's game. They played tactically really well. We had to field some big kicks in the first half, and that made life pretty difficult. But you know what? I would have taken 3-0 at the end of the day if someone had let me sign a contract.
Thanks so much, John. Congratulations once again. Have a great evening and have a great party.
Thank you very much. You will do.
Johnny Wilkinson, well, we felt a lot different to that 4 years ago.
These boys are leading the side in prayer. They're a deeply religious side, the South Africans.
As Francois Pienaar did 1995 at Ellis Park.
It was even in possession and territory. Set piece, they got schooled in there.
It wasn't really even. It points out again that the side without the ball ends up winning the game. It just goes to show you how competitive the breakdowns are. You just can't be guaranteed of your ball when you take it into a ruck. So any time you play inside your half, you're taking the risk of turning the ball over.
How does it feel right now? And you've enjoyed game after game. Let's hear from Phil Vickery first.
Absolutely everything, but there was a little bit of a difference. They managed to win, but there wasn't much difference between the two teams tonight.
No, probably just a bit more of a loss of composure on our side. But I can't fault anyone. Certainly the players, supporters. We've had a magical time here. Disappointed today, but fair play to South Africa, to John and his team. Thoroughly deserved, and we've got another 4 years to wait. So enjoy it.
Now, regarding that disallowed try by Quetta, do you think that was a turning point for you guys?
Well, you get decisions like that in a game. Obviously, it was a huge decision. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. I'm not going to stand here and blame referees. South Africa deserved their victory today. And, we gave it our all, and in the end, probably just wasn't good enough.
Thanks for a thrilling tournament, but anyway, Phil, thanks very much.
No, it's been wonderful. Thank you to all supporters. It's been a very, very special time for us all. Thank you.
Thanks.
So England, upon a disappointment, the South Africans jubilant in victory. We'll be back in a moment.
South African rugby is on the threshold of massive change, and a lot of critics said that because that change was on the way, they would not be united for this Rugby World Cup. Well, that's not true. And there is Thabo Mbeki, the leader of South Africa, and he is going to institute a lot of that change. And he made an interesting comment, Ben Darwin, about Jake White's relationship and his role in this World Cup win. He has had a lot of meetings with politicians in the last 12 months regarding... Let's hear from him.
Yeah, I mean, it's the icing on the cake, isn't it? Yeah, the 2007 World Champions. A great performance from the boys tonight.
Yeah, it is. I mean, all credit to England. I think a lot of people expected them to, not be as competitive as they were tonight. And, again, it just shows you how tough World Cups are. And, you know, I always knew we had to play to win it. They weren't going to give it to us. So, but what more can I say? I'm just obviously delighted with the result.
But you've been composed right through the whole of the tournament, and you're just so relaxed. That's fantastic for you.
Yeah, I think it's what you see on the outside. You know, I think inside we're dying inside, but geez, I mean, it's I think it's important for our country, and I think everyone back home is probably, you know, rejoicing, and all credit to the players I've had. I mean, they've been unbelievable ambassadors for South African rugby in the last 4 years.
Just you're losing your voice a little bit, so I won't keep you for long. But regarding the defence tonight, you can be very proud of your boys.
Well, I mean, that's what wins World Cups, isn't it? And I mean, they were probably a bit unlucky not to get that try. We, you know, showed a bit of attitude there on the try line with Donny Rousseau. So, yeah, I mean, what more can I say? Just really over the moon, and a massive win for us as a group.
Congrats.
Nice moment there between Mbeki and Johnny Wilkinson. President there too. And Nicolas Sarkozy is also there, along with Gordon Brown. So the politicians congratulate the players as we await the arrival of the engraved William Webb Ellis Trophy. How close was that man to taking this World Cup final to another level? It could have been 10-9 to England after 43 minutes, but then again, that's possibly something for the fans to argue about in the pubs and clubs throughout the world over the next 24 to 48 hours, maybe 4 years.
Sad finish for Jason Robinson. See his arm there in a sling. Got plenty of time now to recover from that in retirement.
Well, we certainly will never forget some of what Jason Robinson contributed to the game of rugby. Scored the try in the final in 2003. So he, like other English players, Johnny Wilkinson, Lawrence Lelio, Mike Catt, they know what it feels like to win one. Now they know what it feels like to lose one.
Well, Mike Catt's expression, probably that little boy's feelings sum up how the English are feeling.
He must have English relatives.
He's not happy.
Composure.
And on the other side of the ledger, the Springbok with his hand firmly wrapped around one handle of the William Webb Ellis Cup.
Well, England ended up limping into this final. So many injuries off. See the two princes there, proud of their English side, Wilkinson.
And they should be proud because,
yep,
I sort of mentioned before, I think they overachieved on paper, on form. They weren't leading this competition the second best side in the world, not by a long way.
They had the lowest point scoring average of any Rugby World Cup finalist in history. They averaged less than 22 points across the tournament. So
they got there with ticker, really. Ticker and smart play. So hats off to them.
But as someone who stood there in a losing World Cup final, obviously not playing myself, but having to stand on that stage, it just hurts horribly to get so close, and then to watch these guys go through this experience is pretty heartbreaking, seeing their joy, thinking that, well, that could be us. It's, unfortunately, you get it in your face a little bit when you lose a World Cup.
New Zealand had to suffer that experience in 1995. South Africa in another tryless World Cup final. That was 15-12 at Ellis Park, 15-6 tonight.
Oh, they've broken the trophy.
Well,
just kidding. It does come off.
It does come off.
There was another twist to the tail. John Smith, have a look at him. He looks like the happiest man in South Africa, and why wouldn't he be?
I think he's the happiest man in France too.
See the players sort of looking around there. You try to spot family. You know sort of what area your family and friends are in. You try to spot them so you can give them a wave. And you always like to share special moments like this with family and friends because they've been there right beside you through all the good and bad times.
There's Sarkozy on the left. France, of course, takes control of the IRB as well. Mapase is the new boss, replacing Sid Miller. Gordon Brown just to his left, and then we have, of course, Thabo and Mbeki. Probably right up there in the happiest man stakes.
Yes, it was 43 million South African supporters 12 years ago. It'll be 43 million plus. They came from all corners. The 48th match of this Rugby World Cup, the most important of them all, and South Africa waved their fists in victory.
Well, there's many replicas, but there is only one genuine one, and that is it.
The William Webb Ellis Cup. David Kirk, Nick Farr-Jones, Francois Pinaire, John Eales, Martin Johnson, John Smith, the first to be presented with a medal. You'll get to know what that trophy feels like in just a moment.
These moments will stay with these guys. I'm sure Ben Chini will attest to this until the day they die. They won't be world champions for the next 4 years. They'll be world champions and Springboks for the rest of their lives. Nos de Rat, what an amazing return. 95 winning the tournament. Retiring, everyone thought he was gone, went farming, came back into the Springbok side, and world champion again.
Well, he was the youngest Rugby World Cup final player for South Africa back then, and today he's the oldest. 22 years, 289 days against the Kiwis, and now 35 years and 42 days. There's a lot of rugby, a lot of bruises in that time.
80 tests for the Ox. And this will be as big and as bright as any of them, the William Webb Ellis Cup. Victor Matfield was inspirational in the lineouts.
He was outstanding. He was probably the difference between the two teams.
And in a World Cup dominated by set pieces, he'd have to come close for player of the tournament, I would have thought. Either that or someone like Montgomery. Yeah, Dupree, a good point, or Montgomery with his boot.
There's another man, Percy Montgomery. Didn't play in 95, but 93 test matches, and finally, the big one.
Actually, now that I think about it, Brian Habana's try haul, it's a pretty formidable feat as well. So he'd have to be right up there.
It's the real deal.
Well, he's still in contention for IRB Player of the Year as well, and he's the only remaining of the final five, the only guy who was still in this World Cup at this stage. The other guys were all knocked out in the quarters and semi-finals, so Habana may well become IRB Player of the Year on top of all the other accolades.
Well, many may question whether, 1 through 22 or 1 through 15, this is the best team in the world, but it doesn't matter because the other minor issues are made up by the staff, the coaching, the supporters, and that everything goes right in the World Cup, and that's what gives them the right to be called world champions. It's not just individual player skill, it's also whether you turn up as a team. And everything has gone very, very well for South Africa. They richly deserve to be called world champions.
And you also need a lot of luck. They had no injuries. Great draw.
Well, that opened up, of course, when Fiji shocked Wales. Not to say that the Fijians weren't formidable opponents in that quarter-final, but South Africa, they rode a nervous moment. JP Peterson held up Big Rwanga.
65th minute.
There he is,
It was
Eddie
a
Jones.
big moment, Rupert. And one of those moments, he's talking to Jake White, talking to Sid Miller there, the outgoing IRB boss. And that is one of those pivotal moments that all World Cup winners look back on. They've all had those moments at some stage of the tournament. And what a great job Jake White has done. And what role will he play, even though he's an outgoing coach, in the melding of South African rugby? As we said, big change underway. There's Eddie Jones. And there is going to be a quota system installed in some shape or form. He's played a big role in trying to manoeuvre that so that it didn't upset their World Cup campaign. At the same time, keep South African rugby going forward and draw on those vast resources amongst the black population that really need to be given support.
Well, time will tell how that unfolds. We'll talk about that and other issues in the sport of rugby in our review show later on this afternoon, Australian time. 4 o'clock, tune in and we'll